Welcome to the Marketing Stir podcast by Stirista, where we chat with industry leaders and get their take on the challenges facing the market. And maybe we'll have a little fun along the way.
On this week's episode, Shelley Pratt, Director of Marketing Communications and Media at Infiniti Motor Company, joins Vincent to discuss Infiniti's Infinitely You campaign, how Infiniti markets like a startup, and the importance of quality data in her role at Infiniti.
Welcome to another episode of the Marketing Stir. Ladies and gentlemen, I am your always happy host. I know it drives people crazy. Your happy host, Vincent Petrofessa, riding solo today here. My co-host, my CEO, AJ Gupta, he is in Miami for the show Possible. He got actually stranded there, had to change his flight. He'll be okay. It's Miami, and I'm in gloomy New York right now. So no one feels bad for me, but you should feel great for me because I have an amazing guest. I love this brand and I really like this person. She's awesome. I got to meet her in person. I dressed up, even got the pocket square out. Look at old episodes. There's about 160 of them. See if I had a pocket square in any of them. Probably not. Special. And let's talk about Stirista just for a few seconds, ladies and gentlemen. We are a marketing technology company. We own our own business-to-business data, business-to-consumer data. We help companies access that data through our technology to help them get new customers. Isn't that great? New customers are fun, right? Also, come check me out, ladies and gentlemen. I actually had a podcast guest on here. It was a trade show we attended, Battlefin. They were on, and apparently they liked me. They saw something in me and they said, hey, can you moderate day one of our panels, May 21st, here in New York City? It's Battlefin. So I'll do it. Why not? Of course, anything to help out Stirista, anything to help out, a conference, I will do it, ladies and gentlemen. But let's talk about my guest. My guest is from the organization, the company, the amazing motor company, Infiniti. You've heard of Infiniti. Beautiful motor vehicles. I got to meet her in person, and she was on a panel at the big auto show, Marketing Automotive. And I said, hey, Shelley, you're coming on our podcast. And she rocked it. I got to hear, it was an amazing panel of people. Let's give a warm welcome to my new friend, dare I say, Director, Marketing, Communications, and Media at Infiniti, Shelley Pratt. What's going on, Shelley?
Hi, it's so good to be here and so good to be talking to you.
It's so great to see you. You rocked it at that show. We're going to talk about that show a lot because Infiniti. Now, let me just say something here. I live in Manhattan. I don't own a motor vehicle. However, I was like a kid in the candy store at this show. It was the show at the Javits Center. Prior to that, there was more of a marketing show, and I got to walk the floor. And I was like, what is all the excitement happening? Infiniti stood out. It was jamming over there. Shelley, I don't know if you must have been around that area as well. Were you jamming at that booth? That was amazing.
Yeah, it was great. It was packed. Both days that I was there, both press days and then the consumer days, we had so much interest, not only in the vehicle, but how we set up the auto show. It was very different. If you walked the floor, you could see we really stood out. We had this great immersive experience. The whole booth was covered in trees, so it kind of made it look like a modern fairy tale. So more to come on that. But once you got in there, yes, of course, our vehicles were there that you could get in and experience, but then we actually brought them to life outside of the car. So there was one area where you could see all the ambient lighting and the different colors that the car can change, or one section had the individual audio. And what that means is every passenger in the car can have their own experience. So me as a driver, I could be on a call while my passengers could be listening to music, and you don't hear the same things. And so we set that up outside of the booth itself so people could walk and really experience what the technology was like. So it was great. It was immersive. It was an Instagrammable moment. And like I said, it was packed. So we had a ton of interest in there, and that's always good.
It was packed. And there was, when I was walking in, it was like most people were there. And you walked around people were just like polishing the car with a duster. I'm like, oh, what are you doing? Everyone's at Infiniti. And I want to talk about some of the vehicles in a moment because, I'm shell shocked. I'm like, these are amazing vehicles, but we're going to get into that in a moment. Well, no, let's get into it now because it's top of mind because we can talk about who Infiniti is, which if people don't know, they live under a rock, but I saw the vehicle that stood out to me, the X60 and then the QX80. That is a beautiful vehicle. I don't know if that was the first time that you were revealing one of those, but to me, it was the first time I was seeing, any of them in person. It was great, amazing.
Yeah, those kinds of experiences are really good for our brand. We don't have as great as awareness as some of our other competitors, but once you get inside the car, the perception of the brand changes. The luxury touch points, everything was meticulously crafted and thought of in this car. So even the seats are beautiful, the color's beautiful. We have a huge display on the front, so that like you can see around corners as you're driving. So if you're in a New York and you're popping out of an alley, there's a technology on there where you can press the button and kind of see what you can't see. So, just everything about it is really great. And then we had it set up so you could also experience that audio system. We have the speakers in there, which are a really high-end speaker. And you could just have your own private concert. You can just jam out to it. I was doing it myself. I kind of wanted to play with it and see it. And so set up my phone on there and had my music going. And I had someone outside of the vehicle call me so I could hear just the call and not the music in the background. And then the people in the back couldn't hear me talking on the phone. So it's just a great way to immerse yourself. It's a low pressure place to immerse yourself where you can experience a brand, experience a vehicle. We have product specialists there, so if you have questions, you can do that. But really want you to get to know the brand and interact with us. And with that, we had some hospitality. If you were an owner, we gave away some gifts, and we had some food and things like that there because we want to treat our customers there like we would in a showroom.
Yeah, no, it was great. It's so funny you mentioned that because one of the things that stood out was the sound as well. There was some lady, I don't know if it was you, it wasn't you because I know you, but there was some lady rocking out in the QX80. She was dancing, and then there was like people outside of the vehicle seeing her and kind of like jamming with her. I was like, this lady is having the time of her life. And it was really great. I really mean that. I truly do mean that because I, of course, knew you were coming on the podcast, but always really loved, Infiniti because I think of Infiniti brand. It's the Infiniti brand and luxury. That's what I think of first and foremost. So let's get into it. That's what I think of the brand. Well, how do you describe Infiniti? And then I'd also love your particular role, Shelley, day to day. I see you've had a few roles there, all moving up, which is great at Infiniti. Talk to us about the brand and then your role.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love this brand. It is a luxury vehicle brand. It's something that I'm super passionate about. And what we did a few years ago is we went back and we were trying to carve a white space to figure out what do we mean? What do we excel in? And we worked with our marketing intelligence team and really found that our interiors is where we win on this product. And you experienced it when you got in the car, right? Like everything is so thoughtful. We worked on a brand program called Infinitely You. And what that means is that we brought our interiors to life. We focus on interior superiority. And we know that the very important moments happen inside the car. We all know this. Like you just said, you were jamming out to your power song before you go into a meeting, or you have these really important conversations, or that's the only time my 15-year-old will really talk to me because she's in the car. And so we brought that to life through marketing. And not only is it these beautiful interiors with great technology, but it's the moments that happen in the car because we need to create an emotional connection to the brand. And so everything that you'll see, it really does take place inside the car. We bring those stories to life, and then the features of how they empower us will be brought to life. So interior superiority, that's where Infiniti wins. That's what we stand for. That's who we are. The exteriors are beautiful as well, but we really want to focus on what's inside because that's what matters most. And then my role with the company, I've really grown my career with the company. When I first graduated college, I sold power tools, and sales was fine. It was great. It was a little different than probably most people's paths. But when I found that Infiniti was moving to Nashville, I knew that's what I wanted to do. I went to school for marketing. I knew since I was like 8th grade that I wanted to be in marketing. I was just passionate. I have a creative and strategic spirit, and just knew that that was my fit. So when Infiniti was moving to Nashville, back then I was faxing my resume, giving them all the reasons to hire me. And I did. I started and I've done all of the jobs in marketing, starting at the entry level and then moving up to the role that I have now, which I think helps me empower the team because I kind of understand the challenges that they've gone through and some different things that I've done in my career so I can help them and not hinder them in what they do in their roles. And yeah, now I do anything that a consumer sees that sits with my team. So all creative, all media, websites and digital experiences and e-commerce and CRM sit under my group.
That's awesome. Now, what was the connection to the Tennessee area? Did you grow up in Tennessee?
I didn't, but once I got here, I wanted to stay. So I actually grew up outside of Chicago and moved to Memphis my junior year of high school. I ended up graduating and going to the University of Tennessee, and I loved it. But I moved around a bit after that, and it wasn't until I believe 2003 that I met my now husband. That I moved to Nashville and just absolutely fell in love with it. It's a great place. It's a really family-oriented place, and I knew I wanted to stay here. And so it was really great that I saw a company like Infiniti moving here, that I knew I could do both. I could get into marketing and I could stay in a place that I really love.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I want to talk to you about one of the things that stands out is the fact that you and my producers and the listeners will know is most people who are on this podcast who are in marketing now did not start out in marketing. You studied marketing, Shelley. You were like 8th grade. You were like marketing. That's amazing. Tell us about that story. Kind of the path, and then I have some other questions about kind of how you feel the company's changed in just your time there. So let's focus on the 8th grader who's like marketing. Let's do it.
Yeah, so in 8th grade, we had a speaker come in and she was in marketing, and that was a few years ago. And I just was so inspired by her passion and her dedication to her craft, that I just knew that that's something I wanted to do. And by nature, I am a creative person. I like to think differently. I'm a daydreamer, I guess, somewhat in my head. And so when I went to school, you take the initial classes, and it was something I was always gravitated to, which is funny. I also was gravitated to accounting. So I kind of did a dual route for a while, but just knew that marketing is where I wanted to go. And at the time, I wasn't sure if it was more sales oriented or more traditional type of marketing. So when I did graduate, it was the power tools that I went into, and I loved it. It was great, and I met some lifelong friends. But you kind of learn pretty quickly that maybe that's not where I wanted to be. I really wanted to lean more into the creative part of it, and it's so forward thinking. So I love all of the digital and the strategy, and like how marketing is on the cutting edge of so many things that it was just something that I was drawn to. And I loved it so much. I actually went back and got my master's. So I also have my master's in communications because I'm passionate about it. And, one day when I retire, maybe I'll become a marketing professor. That's how much I love it. And it's great because I do have a 15-year-old that sees this and the passion and the drive, and she's taking marketing classes in high school. So it's kind of fun to be able to inspire, that next generation and to be able to go to her school and my niece's school and talk about it. And maybe I'm giving back to those kids what the woman did for me so many years ago.
That's amazing. And I'm more amazed that like high school's teaching marketing, which is amazing. So, Shelley, what did you notice, say, 5 years ago that Infiniti's doing differently now?
5 years ago, there weren't a lot of women in the director roles or the leadership roles, and I think we've been very purposeful about giving people different opportunities. And we've always been a really family-oriented company, but I think it's changed significantly. Well, now you really can bring your whole self to work, right? You can have those moments of vulnerability and moments of weakness or moments of pride and excitement, and you can feel all of those things where maybe in the past, even I was probably guilty of this, where I felt like I needed to be very buttoned up and very professional, and this was work, Shelley, and I've kind of let that go, and I think that it helps other people to do that as well. To know there's times where I might tear up in a meeting if something it has me. And I think that kind of inspires other people that they don't have to suppress that part of themselves, and that it's truly a safe space. And automotive it's a pressured field environment. It's pretty fast paced. I think it's being able to be vulnerable and being able to feel like yourself. I think it makes people want to work harder and try harder and be more connected, and you're kind of in it together spirit. And that's changed dramatically since I started.
No, I love it. And one of the things that I heard you talk about on that panel really is also, in which boggles my mind, because you think Infiniti is, big, amazing brand, but you kind of operate like a startup, you were saying. Talk to us about what that means in your world and some of the advantages.
Yeah, acting like a startup is probably the best thing that we can do for Infiniti. We are a smaller brand and maybe don't have as much brand awareness as some of our competitors, but we're also not plagued by stigmas. So we don't have to be a stuffy luxury. We could be a new kind of luxury, an alternative type of luxury. We have a ton of runway to create our own space and think differently and do things differently. We're super nimble. We're a small team, but a good idea can come from anywhere. And I think that's kind of the startup mentality is someone has an idea and it's all hands on deck. Like, let's do this. Let's figure this out. And one of a great example of this that you saw is that reveal in Hudson Yards. The team came and like, we have this crazy idea to reveal the car 100 stories above Manhattan. And at first you're like, whoa, okay, we have to do this in 11 weeks. Can we do this in 11 weeks? And they're like, yes, let's do it. Let's all hands on deck. We want to do something different, and we want to create that earned media and paid media and these experiences and these moments to kind of punch above our weight. And we did. We disassembled the car, reassembled it. We got tons of buy-in across the organization, which isn't always the easiest thing to do because when you're doing something bold, it's really uncomfortable. And so a lot of convincing that, yeah, we can do this. We can pull this off. You need to trust us. Let's get John Batiste to help. Bring him into play. Let's bring Erin Andrews. She's been a great partner. And again, all of this in 11 weeks. Most people, this would take 6 months, right? But if you act like a startup, you can do these things. If you see a great idea, you can just push forward and make it work. And I think if you're a larger organization, you're kind of plagued by some of the red tape that we couldn't have done this.
Mhm. Yeah, no, that's amazing. I remember you talked about that. And that QX80, was that the 2025? That's I was in the newest model. Is that kind of what I was sitting in when I was there?
That's what you were sitting in. So we revealed it on a live stream a week before the auto show. But at the auto show was the first time consumers could get in it and experience it. So it was the second reveal. And so that will be coming to us in this summer. So very, very soon. We're working on all the launch work.
That's awesome. No, that was exciting for me. Like I said, to be around automobiles, and it's because it's not every day that I do that. I haven't done that in years. So that's cool. No, I like the way you operate because it's like you said, we could pull something off quickly. It doesn't have to, the red tape running it by all these different people. It's kind of, we have a vision. Let's execute it. That's awesome to see. So a lot of times, the first thing you think of automotive, you do think, traditional television, right? Linear television, but you're doing a variety of different things in advanced TV, CTV. Talk to us about the choices there.
Yeah, so being a smaller brand, our resources are also a little bit smaller. So I always tell the team we have to be small and scrappy, punch above our weight. And one way to do that is through advanced TV, connected TV. We are very targeted in everything we do with our media buys. There's definitely a time and a place where you have to reach masses and you have to do more broad awareness. But typically, ours is more in the foundational type of media where it's very targeted. We need to go after a customer with a high household income. They need to, be able to afford our vehicles and be interested in a luxury vehicle. So we do more of the very targeted type of media buying. In fact, 70% of our total media buy is through some kind of targeted channels, such as connected TV, advanced TV. And it's great, you don't have a ton of waste. You're not showing customers things that they wouldn't be interested in, and it's really beneficial for both the advertisers and the consumers themselves.
Yeah, no, I think connected TV has been something that, here on the ground floor, we've been seeing a lot of that, build and people utilizing those channels as people start to stream more. But yeah, no, it's great. I'm glad you're taking advantage of those channels. Shelley, talk to me about, you're a leader in marketing. Yeah, I know and see it exudes through you, your passion. But talk to us how you as a leader are keeping your team motivated, get connected. What kind of motivates you in marketing? Would love to hear about that.
Yeah, I walk the walk, no matter how bad my day is or what else is going on. I am dedicated to this brand and I'm dedicated to my team. They know it. I will fight for the brand and I will fight for them. I always do it. I always have their back. I'm very passionate and I think passion is contagious. It's really easy in the day to day and the mundane to maybe get down or feel a little beat up, and I just have to put that aside, and I just have to be there, and I have to show up, and if I'm not excited about this, about the work, about the brand, then nobody else will be. So I'm kinda like the cheerleader of Infiniti, where I have to bring the excitement, I have to believe in what we're doing, and I really think that drives and motivates the team, and I know I have a really great team, very great team, and I also create a space where their voice matters, their point of view matters. When I'm in meetings, I ask, what was your feedback? What did you think of this? I want them to feel empowered because I'm human and I could make mistakes. And I need the people around me to tell me, what drove them, why they made this decision, why they strategically chose to go in this direction. And while I might not always agree, it's a great conversation to have and it's a safe space to do that. And I think that makes people want to stay on the team and work on the team even harder because they know I believe in it and they believe in it too.
Yeah, no, and it definitely, like I said, it visually shines through because even people could listen to it when they listen to this podcast. Like, oh, this is someone who's passionate about their brand and their job. So that's awesome. In your own words, kind of, what do you think makes Infiniti stand out? I have an idea because you think of some other, luxury automobile brands. I feel boring. I feel like they're boring. I feel like it's my great grandmother is going to drive some of those vehicles. And I think Infiniti, fresh, cool, hip. That's me. That's just my opinion. I'd love to hear it in your words.
Yeah, I agree. It is, and it's different, right? It's not the same car you see everywhere. I live in this world. I see all of the other brands all the time. And when I pull up or I have one of the new vehicles, everybody comes over and just wants to talk about it because it's not something that everybody owns or everybody has. And once they get inside of the cars, they're like, I want this. I need this. You think of everything of whether or not it's the sound or all of the charging, which I drive a lot of 15-year-olds around. Like we need all of that, but even the new vehicle, it's something you probably wouldn't necessarily think of. It has this suspension where it rises when you drive off. When you park, it lowers. That makes it easier for a person like me. I'm not the tallest person or the biggest person, but it's easy for me to get into and out of, and it's not intimidating. And I think that that's how we're a little different. We're all about hospitality and how we treat people, and that's in the products that we make and the experience that you have when you're a client in one of our showrooms. So I really think that makes us different, aside from the fact that it looks beautiful. It's absolutely stunning and it's well appointed and the craftsmanship exceeds expectations, all of those things. I really think it's the feeling and the ownership experience that you get when you buy an Infiniti.
And just a few more marketing questions before our get to know you personally side of our podcast that we talk to everyone about. So, Shelley, let's go back to some of those you were talking about connected TV campaigns. How do you measure success of a campaign?
We have a whole business intelligence team, and that's one of the teams I helped stand up when I was going through my career, where we write the brief and we decide early, okay, what do we want to do with this? What do we expect to happen? And so there's different KPIs that we measure for different campaigns. So we're working on a launch campaign right now. When you have a new vehicle, you really need to have some awareness, especially when you have a new car coming out. So awareness is one of them. Uh, we also have ad recall. As I said before, we have to punch above our weight. We have to break through. What's really important for us is someone sees an Infiniti commercial and they're able to understand it's Infiniti, not somebody else, and be able to recall what that message was, and it's interior superiority that we want them to recall. And we actually have the highest ad recall that we've ever had in the history of Infiniti, so that's really great for us right now. Consideration is at the top of the list. We need to get on people's shopping lists because by the time they go to buy a car, they really have two brands already that they're going to use. So we need to make sure we get on the list early. And then there's some lower funnel metrics like qualified visits and then key buying actions on the website. We track a lot of the website actions. So it kind of depends where we are in the funnel. We look at a full funnel approach, upper, mid, and lower. So those metrics will change based on what the campaign is supposed to do.
That's interesting. No, thanks for sharing that. Shelley, you mentioned, your daughter studying marketing, right? You mentioned speaking, going back and maybe, who knows, educating in the future. But what do you tell people now? Some advice for people studying marketing. When I go to these trade shows now, there's people who are like, "Hey man, I listen to your podcast," or a student or someone like, "Hey, I'm entry level. I love the podcast because of the guests that you have and the advice." What's some advice you'd give that young person studying marketing or just getting into marketing?
The advice I would give anybody is there's so many times that we're held back by trying to be perfect, trying to know everything. Um, the imposter syndrome comes into play a lot, and even where I am now, I experience it. And I have my whole host of amazing women friends, all, family that remind me not to let those voices get in my head. And I think that's really important, to maybe be kind to yourself. And I know that might sound a little funny, but those voices start going and they can really change the trajectory of your career. They can change how you approach things. And I always try to remind myself, I remind my daughter, like, talk to yourself the way that you would your best friend. Like, would your best friend be saying these mean, negative things to you that could hold you back? And if so, then don't say those things. You have to build yourself up as you would somebody else. Of course, I'm not perfect. It happens to me, and it happens quite a lot. And I have to sit down and remind myself, okay, don't go there. You need to stay out of that zone and really refocus on the things that you're really good at and what you can bring to the table. Because there's nobody that's perfect in this industry, and there's nobody that's perfect in any industry. So try not to let that hold you back and really keep you from pursuing a career in marketing or any other business.
That's no, that's great advice. Well, I do have one more marketing question. I'd be remiss not to ask about data. Stirista is a data company. Data is so important. Talk to us about the importance of data in your role and what you're doing at Infiniti.
We use data daily. My business intelligence team will come to me and say, hey, this is working, this isn't working. I think we need to move money and media from, and I'm just making this up, this tactic over to search. Or if we need to hit short-term goals, where would we put the money? Who's buying our cars? Are we talking to the right people? Do we need to change our household income layers? Those are daily conversations for us. And then at macro level, data is king. Consumer data is king. As I said, we really want to make sure we're talking to the right people, not all of the people. And so when we deal in CRM and direct marketing and email and things like that, we look at it and we say, okay, who's interacting with our brand? Who's raising their hand to have us talk to them? Who's submitting leads? And then we take that information and we give it to the media team to build lookalike modeling. So, all right, if these type of people are interested in Infiniti, if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it might be a duck. And so we go in and we change our media buying based on that to make sure we're hitting the right people. So it's probably one of the most important parts of my job. To me, it's the most interesting part of my job. I love data. I love sitting with the data scientists. They're also really passionate about this, and it's quite fun because they push you and drive us and help us make really smart decisions, especially when it comes to media. That's a huge investment. I always tell my company that we're investment bankers and we need to put the money in the right place to get the right return, which a lot of people wouldn't think of that for marketing, but it really is important, especially when you have those big dollars that you're putting in media.
Yeah, no, it's a great way to break it down. So let's get to know you personally. I got to, meet you for, a little bit, very quick. You were very busy that day. The panel was there and it was like, all right, say hello to this guy real quick, Shelley, and then let's get you out of here because you were busy. It's a big day. So, but a couple of things. One of our questions we ask every single one of our guests, that is our most popular question. Apparently, people come up to me and say that LinkedIn, people use LinkedIn all the time. Your title, your company, I'm sure people reach out to you all the time. So, what's a message that you respond to? And what are messages where you just cannot stand? I know you're super nice, but still, your time is very valuable. So, what's a message that you're just like, really? What, why?
Yeah, I have a lot of empathy, especially in sales as I did it. So, I understand the need for people to reach out and totally accepting of it. And what gets my attention is when it feels a bit more personal and maybe not so much of just a broad email blast. And I think that's probably true for most people. Or if something I said resonated with them and sits with them and they share that experience, I'm inclined to respond, and I want to be personal. I am that. I'm a pretty kind and caring person, so I try to respond to the ones that I really can. But when it feels more like a blast, I'm less inclined to do it. And the things that I really dislike is when they either spell Infinity wrong or my name wrong, uh, because that just kind of feels like they didn't take the time to understand how you spell the brand or my name. My name does have an extra E in it. So those automatically, I just kind of move on.
Yeah, I've been noticing those more and more. I've been noticing that, like, even people in my first connection network are using, like, "Hey, Vincent, we'd love to set up a meeting with you." It sounds very formal, and I'm like, yeah, hey, Rachel, like, it's me, Vincent, like, I know you. Sure, if you want to talk." And then it's like another automated message back, and I'm like, "You're not Rachel." It's like I've been seeing that lately, which has been getting me. But anyway, so Shelley, talk to us. You're in Nashville, right? I think of Nashville. I think of music. I think of the Titans, right? I think of football. I think of University of Tennessee. Shout out to Peyton Manning. I'm more of a fan of his brother. Eli is a New Yorker. But what do you do for fun there? Your hobbies? I mean, you're driving kids around. I know that. But talk to me about your hobbies, your weekend. What do you like to do?
Well, you set it up really well. I went to University of Tennessee, and I did have finance with Peyton Manning. So
What?
he doesn't know me. We're not like friends or anything, but we
Yeah,
definitely
but
have
he's
finance.
if I say, "Hey, Peyton," Shelly's my pal. I'll tell you that. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So I do love college football, and my brother went to Ole Miss with Eli, so it's a big football community here.
that's awesome.
It's amazing. We try to go to the games. They're so much fun. So during the fall, definitely Saturdays dedicated to college football. We love it. But in general, I'm food motivated, so I love to go to dinner with my friends. That's like what I do. So it feels like a weird hobby, but I love to eat. I love spending time with my friends. Try to do it every weekend. If I can't do dinner, I do brunch. So I always get that in. And then travel. Travel's so important to me. Especially with our daughter, we wanted her to see the world. Her very first trip was in 8th grade to Iceland, and we've gone to many other places with her, but it's just those experiences that I'm so happy we did together as a family and didn't wait for the right time. We just went. And we always go, and you have those amazing memories that we'll always have. And then of course, living in Nashville, I love concerts. I will go to any concert. If a friend says, "Hey, let's go to this one," and I'm like, "Okay, I don't know that person, but we can absolutely go to that one." So I try to do those probably every other month, once a month. It's easy to do around here though, because everybody comes through Nashville.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I love what you said. I'm food motivated. I've never heard of that term before. That is a first. Yeah, it's great. We were trying to do that too with my kids. Uh, we went to Denmark last year, and I feel like it's kind of spoiled my now 7-year-old because we were talking like, "Hey, maybe we'll." My little son's name is Hudson. I was like, "Hudson, maybe we'll go to Maine this summer. We'll go to Maine. There's a lot of things to do. It's not that far away." He's like, "Yeah, let's do it." He's like, "But Dad, you're saying Maine wrong. It's pronounced Spain." I'm like, "No." He's like, he wants it. It's this international travel. I'm like, there's a big difference between Maine and Spain. So I love it. That's great. Love the concert angle. Yeah, we're here in New York as well. Any night you can go see someone play music. That's amazing. Shelley, talk to us. Last thing, what are you excited about the next 6 months at Infiniti?
This is the Super Bowl for us. Launching a new car is huge. It's we just shot the commercials. In fact, right after this, I'm going to see the rough cuts of them. We are buying the media. We're working on the events and activations of where we're going to show up. It's a lot of work, a lot of pressure, and it's a short amount of time to get it done, but it's so fun and it's so rewarding because you get to the other end of it and you sit back and you think, wow, we did that. The team, me, like we made amazing commercials. We bought the right media. It's showing up in the right places. And then I really do love the experiential components of it where you can go out and people can naturally get in it. I said before, kind of in a low pressure environment where you can get to know the vehicle and fall in love with the vehicle and then hopefully buy it. So it's yeah, we have a great campaign. It's going to be very different than some of the things we've done in the past. And we've already shown little hints of it at the auto show and some of the things that we've done and our hashtag strategy. So we're planting the seeds. We're trying to learn from a Taylor Swift to how to like pre-reveal a car, how she does with her albums. So we're putting some of those Easter eggs out there to bring people along with us before the big moment that we reveal the car.
I love it. Yeah, she's winning a Grammy. She's like, oh, by the way, I have a new album coming out. I'm like, yeah, that's I love it. No, I'm excited. I got to see it, the QX80. It's a beautiful automobile. And look, you know me, I don't own a car, like I said, but so when I really like one, and if I'm talking about one, I must really like it. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my new friend, Shelley Pratt, Director, Marketing Communications and Media at Infiniti. Check out Shelley. Check out Infiniti. Thank you for your thought leadership today, Shelley. We really appreciate it. Thank you for being on the Marketing Stir. I'm Vincent Pietrafesa. AJ's maybe in the air. He's probably back down by the time this releases. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks for listening to the Marketing Stir podcast by Stirista. Please like and subscribe. If you're interested in being a guest on the podcast, please email us at themarketingstir@stirista.com.